Hey folks, welcome to a slightly different workshop episode. This time we're going to take a tour of Dad's garage and workshop.
So you want to see what's inside the old man's boneyard, as they call it in Alaska. A boneyard full of junk. Well, I'm going to run through this really quickly because I've got a lot of stuff. It's all usable, but sort of dumpable, if that makes sense. So just here on the inside, obviously, consumer board, 3 sets of plugs. I hadn't wanted here because I didn't go all the way down there. Most of my sawing and stuff is done right on the outside, as per the floor will tell you with all the chips down there. Yeah, just keep regular gloves along here. Kneeling pads, you definitely want kneeling pads. Certainly at my age, you get down, you can't get up. Various kneeling pads. I keep 1, 2, 3 battery chargers. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. All the different things there that I'll be putting out in a minute. When it freezes, tap covers, have to have those on the properties. I've got the, you ask, what is that? That's the Don't Rob Me, because I may be old, but I'm not that old. Moving along in here is what I call Bushcraft Corner, the most used tool ever. Right, a reciprocal saw. Those of you who follow us on the pallet cabin builds, any other pallet cabins I've done, and whatever in wood and log burning stuff, I use the reciprocal. I know people say you can use a circular saw, Graham, but I just get used to that. I've used it so long, and you can put metal blades in there as well and zip through steel plate to a certain degree. Definitely something I never used as a youngster, should have done. A really good pair of ear defenders. I use those all the time, especially when the good ladies are around. Sorry, can't hear you. All the stuff when we use cooking outside, you know, we're doing stuff. Creatures I found in the woods. As you can see, these are real, they're not plastic. You would not want to get attacked by that in a sleeping bag at night, would you? That is a serious set of teeth there. And that's a badger, we're figuring out a badger, a very good preserved one. How to get it white? I put it in bleach, and that's what I did. Luckily, the teeth are there, but I think actually I made a tooth out of one of those. I think one got broken.
Yeah.
Things like this, you always find, you know, where you can when you're going out in the woods, and you find this. What do you think that is, Mike? It's not fallow, because fallow stags have got the big fan shape, haven't
I think
they?
it's roe, yeah.
That's probably a roe deer around here, but I figured that's a real natural sort of grip. I could always cut or grind those off, you know, and use that as a grip, maybe put a knife in there, I don't know. All the cooking stuff, knives, plates, all the, you know, knives, more knives, plenty of knives there, because we do outdoor stuff. At the top is, verging on the explosive sector, is all the cans of gas, closely followed by all the barbecue lighting fluid, which Mike hates, but I take out in the woodland now and then. And on wet days, trust me, when he's not looking, I
know, it's always when I'm not looking, you pop that on the fire.
Whoosh! Oh yeah, it's going now, it's going. It will go. You think I'm standing there doing this sparky? No. General sort of stuff, camping stuff up there. We call it a bedroll there.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that you undo the valve on and it blows itself up to a certain extent. Be handy if you did that, putting it on the ground, but I have a bed as well to keep off the ground, most important. Down here, spare 100 amp battery, which I keep for just whatever. I can clip stuff to it. I've got to keep a fire extinguisher in it, just in case.
Really easily accessible, that.
Easily accessible on the rubbish bin. I've got my coolers, a rough one for bait. That one's to edible stuff. This is a mixture of both, depending if I forget or not. Loads of tools. This is the wood sector. So obviously, as I say, by the marks on the floor, you can see I do all my chopping up down there. So any leftover bits of wood, look, all offcuts, they're all going in the log burner.
Is this every time you've missed a piece of wood, the axe has gone into
Exactly, yeah, there's a million there, isn't there? Yeah. And sometimes I'll put someone down, I'm bashing a nail, it comes out the other side. Bit of fishing tackle. I've got some wheels up there. They're spares from my boat, but obviously I sold the boat, but we got a good trailer that eventually we're going to sort of try and renovate up and go on Mike's Land Rover. What's yours, a Series 3?
Series 3 lightweight, yeah.
Series 3 lightweight, make a really good ammo truck. But I don't know why those tyres have sort of ballooned out of shape like that. But I want the wheels underneath. The wheels are what I want. So if we have to take the wheels off the old trailer, I've got a set of really good wheels there. But I don't know why they went that shape. Yeah, I think I put 45, 50 in them for towing, but they just went a bit sketchy. Up here was my sort of junk section of whatever. It's life jackets. There's every one of shackles. I've got shackles, I've got ropes, I've got all sorts of, hello, what's your name? I've got teddy bears. You're only young once. Life jackets, I've got 3 or 4 of those left over from the boat, don't throw anything away. Blankets, bits of tackle. If I do go out in the boat, I want to go long distance. I've said one in the rental boat, I've kept 1 can back, it's 25 litres, I used to keep 50 litres in there, to go with the gas, which is not a good mix, and a load of petrol as well, and some oil, so it's definitely a no smoking area. In here, all bits and pieces, ropes, these are really good. I use those on the mowers, and with lawn mowers, you want to use an axle stand, you can jack it up normally from the front only and clean all the stuck grass off the bottom, because it will eventually corrode out, and it just makes it harder and harder all the time. So it's a bit of a pain, but while the grass is wet on the underneath of the mower, that's the time to get under with a knife and chip it off. Over here I've got my lead section, which is all the different leads, because I make leads in here using that gas cooker over there, which is, this one came off my boat, just a 2-burner. I do cooking on it as well, and I keep that in there. This is just so it didn't roll over in the boat, it's trapped in there. Ladders, Mike's knapsack, which was borrowed and never returned. A drop net, I believe a Sable. I think it was a Sable, this one, renovated it. It's not one I shot or ate, it's just one I picked up from an antique shop somewhere. Range of shovels, obviously flammable stuff, get yourself a smoke alarm. You don't have to screw it on the wall, you can just leave it like that, that's what I do. Other things Mike used to use a lot of were, whatever you call that, Mike, this stuff.
Checker plate.
Checker plate. It's like a metal non-slip for flooring, edging, stuff like that. I don't throw anything, because if you want a steel piece of plate like this, you have to go and buy a giant piece like that to cut that out of it. So save all offcuts. Takes up no space at all. A full range of shovels. The difference between a shovel and a spade. The spade is a lot narrower and flatter. The shovel will carry more, and it's curved up at the edge. Take a lot more weight. I've used these and messed around with them, and they've been put away dirty. You can grind that off with an angle grinder. It makes it a lot lighter on your wrist. Anybody who's a real builder would probably be in tears by now looking at the state of those, because you are wasting physical energy by not having a crisp piece of metal to slide it in. There's an old 2-man saw up there that we used on one of Mike's films, didn't we, on TA Outdoors?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
It was hard work, very hard work, and you need a certain routine to do that. Over here, I've got sections of all my paints for the properties, and whenever I want paint, some of it's 30 years old. One of the tips, I'll give you 2 tips. I'll give you 2 to start with. Right, when you wash your brushes out, I've done loads of painting on the properties, you're very tempted, you wash it all out, don't you? And you just put them away like this, don't you? What happens is, any residue that's not purely washed out and clean will go down here, and just on the very tip will go hard. And when you do the painting, it's not going to turn out well. So take my tip, wash it out, always store your brushes that way. That way it might get a residue up here, but the brush tip itself is the one that puts the coat on and does the finishing touch. Also, I was told this, I don't do it, but it's very sensible. When you get paint pots, and loads of used ones, I'm not going to throw them away, it's so expensive. You take the lid off, it's got a skin on it. You get a knife, you go around the edge of the skin, cut it out, get a pair of pliers, squeeze it out, drop it in the bin, use the paint, fine. Trouble is, you get lots of little bits in the edge of the paint around the tin. They go into the paint. When you have your finishing coat, it's really annoying to get those little specks on there. Not so much for when I'm doing just flats out or something, but your own personal stuff. So make sure the lid's on, store them upside down. Therefore, the paint goes down here. If it's half full, there's the void of air that will create the skin. When you turn it upside down, the skin is on the bottom. You take the lid off, you're straight into the paint. Don't stir it up then, with a screwdriver and go through the skin, because it messes it all up. So not a bad way of doing it. I should be doing it all of mine, but I don't. But it's a good idea, isn't it? Store it upside down. Down here we have plenty of anchors. Oh my God, would this not do you?
Oh yeah, we could try it.
That is a brand
brick
new.
sealant?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Look,
Yeah.
that is.
Oh, there you go.
That is just you for your
The
Land Rover.
canvas cover.
Now that's brand new. I
Right.
picked it up from somebody who gave it to me.
Okay.
Well,
We'll
I leave
try
it
it.
out. I leave it out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try that.
Can of paraffin down there. Can of meth.
You've got so much flammable stuff.
Yeah, it's all going to go. More gas bottles down the back there, because if you've seen the price of gas, it's not going to go down, is it? A couple of mowers. Something I got to dump. It's hard. 14 different fluorescent tubes that cost you an arm and a leg to put in. But of course, I've got fluorescent tubes in here. I should really invest in some LEDs, but I don't, because I'm trying to work out the LEDs. We're changing the tube. I've got the tubes for nothing, so I'll feed them up there. Paint rollers up there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got about 12 up there. And what I do is, when we're doing a property and the wife's slacking a bit, I get some duct tape and I wind one round here, one round that wrist, point it in the right direction, and then say, okay, there's a meal on this, or you can go shopping at Marks or somewhere. And away she goes like this painting. So you can't have enough rollers. Spare plastic, spare bits of wood. You don't know where you want to spare a bit of wood. These shelves here, Junksville paint, different paints, stains, everything, floor paint, garage paint, fence stain, it's all there. Here I get everything from mixing my 2-stroke, my oil, chainsaw oil, stuff like that, different little bits and bobs. This stuff's pretty good. It's not selling it. It's just a spray. It creates a shield on things like axes. Oh yeah, got to show you the axes. This is my favourite one. Right, it's a nice shape. I think Mike calls it a hewing axe.
Yeah, I think that is a hewing axe. Yeah.
Or a carving axe. It's a nice old one. I like the shape of the handle. Obviously, at my age, that's slim. It's relatively lightweight. I can choke it up here if I just want to chip away. I can hold it full length and whack something. It's not going to split great big logs. It's not heavy enough. But I do like the little curved swan neck, I call it. I don't know what people call it in woodland world, but I call it swan neck. But it's just nice. You feel safe. It's not going to go flying off and kill somebody. And then obviously my other log splitter is a 3-pound one, which is a double handle whack, and it splits most of the logs inside here, ready for the log burner. These are only tools I use quite a lot. These are really good. I call them like bolt cutters, but they're actually, I'm trying to think we call these, loppers.
Loppers.
I think that's the in word now, loppers. They're really good for ones that you can't chew through. That's the wife's one. One of the favourite ones I use for splitting the kindling wood up is this one. And you call it what, Mike?
I call it a bill hook.
Or bill hook. It's really good. I don't sharpen it too much because my fingers go and chop, 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 chop. Just enough to split the wood. Again, very old one, probably 50, 60 years old. It's got the name down there if anybody knows what it is. But the thing was, I was talking to somebody else only recently, it's really good steel, this old steel. If you can find any old tools, you can get a good edge on them, and they are definitely harder, I feel, than the modern stuff. With the mowers, I've done one rear window on my car. My lorry pulls out, we're on a tight bend, throttle down, there's a lorry coming, wham! The mower goes from the front to back at a certain velocity. It went through the rear window. I didn't claim off the insurance, but it cost me about £250. So now I've made a piece of wood like this. I put the mower in, I slide this behind, the wheels come up against it, saves me a rear windscreen. How simple is that? How simple am I come to that? Loads of all cleaning stuff up here, we do the cleaning. I keep my bait in there because I don't want the mice getting it, storing it anywhere else. Of course they can climb up there.
It's all open.
No, they're going to climb up there. Do you know where they go? Because, that's right, I've put the ladder right next to it. So how stupid is that, Graham? The mice will be up there in a flash. And if it upsets their stomach, it's the wrong stuff, I've left this for them. Mouse toilet paper. Through here, just general junks fill. I keep my ground bait for my fishing nice and dry in these old sweet containers. Obviously, I buy it by the sack load, 20 kilo sack, but I don't want to get in damp. It goes what we used to call fausty, it's sort of damp, it's nasty. Goes off basically, you get mould, so I put it in there, it's not dry. Trout pellets, stuff like that, I put in sealed up containers. All electrics are all up here, spares. Do you know what? There's spares of spares in here. You never know when you want a piece of heavy duty earth cable, do you? Try buying it, it's not cheap stuff. I've got it, if it's there, it won't deteriorate. All my tiling stuff is down in here, cutters, floor spacers, different shovels and forks there. One of the best ones we use is, I call this a drain spade, but I don't believe you, it's really technically a drain spade would be 4 inches. That's probably 5 inches, I'm guessing a span across there. The average pipe size would be about 4. Really, really good tool, especially if you've got rough ground.
Why have you got so many dustpan and brushes, Dad?
I don't know, I suppose you could say it's because I make quite a bit of a mess, but I just don't like throwing things away. I'd hate to buy a new dustpan and brush when you sort of pick one up laying around somewhere. Into my office. Oh yeah, you never know when you want a roll of carpet, so I put it up there to keep it away from those mice that have got the ladder. But they haven't got the ladder to reach that. Yes, they have, it's over in the corner. And up here, should those mice want to make a nice nest, I've left what do you call it? A
yelm.
Sheath of, a yelm?
A yelm with thatch.
Up there is a mouse yelm.
What is this, Dad, above your head? That sack.
These are plastic bags.
No, this thing. What is that?
Oh no, that's a piece of Hessian sack. Because
why have you put
don't laugh, because if you went into a supermarket, try asking for, have you got any old Hessian sack, please? I feel not. There's a piece of Hessian sack. You never know when you want it. Into the workshop, technical, spanning mouth on this side, loads of wires up there, loads of stuff. I've got my shark crimping, swaging tools, heavy duty stuff when I do shark crimping and stuff like that. Spares are everything. Lots of bits and bobs, which you never know when you want till you want them. So it's all there. 2 cables, 2 power heads here, and one tip I will give you just briefly. This one I've had repaired about 3 times. It has been used and abused. It has an adjustable and adaptive kit that goes with it. This was Mike's one, and I noticed, I thought, that's about the same size as the drive shaft on that. And I figure they're all made abroad, somewhere in Asia or China or somewhere. And lo and behold, it fits, this power head fits a totally different make of strimmer. It also fits this kitty, which is a plough, like a rotavator. Spins it this way, so you walk it down with the spin under pressure, you know, like motorising. Keep it spinning and you draw it back towards you and it fluffs and chops everything up. We've used this loads, even down Somerset, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
On thick clay, that's the one to break it up with.
Oh, the old Sammy sledgehammers down there.
Yes, we have a selection of axes, sledgehammers, log splitters, you know, 3 sledgehammers just in case the heads fly off of 2 of them. One of the most used things, especially coming through the winter, is what's called a dirty water pump. And I can use that in my well if I want to transfer water from there into my pond during the summer when they ban the hose pipe. If I get flooded, I can put this in and it pumps out and have a roll of tape there. I've got all the usual, you know, extension lights, lead lights and stuff for working during the night, work all hours. All my trowels and concrete and cementing stuff's all in there. There's loads of them in there. It's full of them. So trust me, it's full of them. Bits of steel, bits of stainless, bits of mesh. Use things like this. You want them when you want them, you know. You buy one, you think they're expensive, but then they last quite a long time if you look after them. So jet washer, power sprayer, call it what you will. Compressor, I've got to get an adapter on the end of that. But, you know, it works, it does a job blowing tyres up. Pillar drill does get used, you can see by all the shreddings left over here. Just remember to drop it up and down because you have to allow for the drill to go through that hole. If you want to go right through, say, a steel plate, something like that. If you leave it too short, it's not going to do it. If you get it the right length, and this plate goes up and down. So it gets used quite a lot, as does the old wrecking bar. You cannot beat a wrecking bar. I use that for taking apart the pallets.
People.
Yeah. No, that's a machete.
Taking apart people.
That's a machete. A million drills. I wish I knew how to sharpen the end of some of the drills, you know, and resharpen them. The gentleman next door, who used to live there many years ago, was really good at it, and he got them sharp. It saves buying new drills. The wall's plastered with some of the 16 books I've written. Shark jaws are genuine shark jaws, they're not plastic. Years ago, they used to eat a lot of the fish, or they'd be giving them to the community to eat. So a lot of those are, you know, they've been eaten. That's what, you know, it's better than wasting them. And the jaws are just surplus requirement. I guess they get thrown away. So I thought, oh, it'd be fun just to keep a few.
And Go Fishing 4 was your series of books, wasn't it?
There was a series of books. I've done several books, big game books and whatever. But as you can see, I used to employ this man years ago. Yeah, he actually had a black moustache, no crinkles, eyes that went the straight way, ears that could hear. Well, the teeth are real, luckily. They're all together with enough, that's for sure. Toolbox, everything right down to PTFE tape. Just mention a couple of things. I like old tools, I do like old tools. This was my grandfather's. It's a nice shaft, I've never changed it. It's called a tack hammer. It's really used a lot. But if you have tiny pins, panel pins, and things like that, tacks are shorter than, say, your thumb size, you're going to pinch your thumb. So you turn it around, use the thin side, tap it, and then finish it off. And things like, you know, the wood on that's a circular one. But I do like wood handles as opposed to plastic. So many tools I can't even go into them. Different types of wrecking bars. It's a different type of wrecking bar. I think it's a floorboard lifter. You guys out there tell me. I think that is a floorboard lifter. And I've got all the other tools. Should I, you know, need a giant wrench? Obviously got a giant wrench. Ben's Vice belongs to my granddad, then my dad, then me. Look, it's not going anywhere, is it? It's clamped on with 2 great big bolts. It's done 2 generations, do 3 generations. Some of them have a spring here that you can pull out quickly. This one doesn't. It's a straight wind one. But along here, I just keep the things I use all the time. Knives, well, it would be knives, but the round-headed old stainless, you know, the steel knives are really good. They're about 1920s. They almost don't wear off, and I use those for cleaning everything, scraping. Tools for scraping, scrapers, Stanley knives, you know, things like that. You see, there's a carbine snap in there. I get all the old used, that's what I do, right. Just so you know, I get a can, it's nearly empty. This is me doing this. I might puncture if it's really empty, run all the air out of it. There's generally some stuff in there. I put it in a jam jar like this and I can swill it around and let that one soak.
What will that do to it? Just protect
well,
it?
It will free it all up. So if it's rusty, which that is, you can see the rust in the bottom.
Yeah,
yes,
removes it.
Yeah, it helps remove it and I can use it again. I don't want to go and buy another one. One little tip is I also save all my, when I wash my paintbrushes out, I put the fluid left over, it's all gunky in there. If you let it set for a couple of months, that's clearing all the way down there. And look how it's left the residue of paint at the bottom. And if I take the top off, where you shake it up, it goes back to paint. You can see that is absolutely clear at the top. Now that sediment will go all the way down there, and that's just paint on the outside. But to there will be clear, and you can use it and use it and use it.
As in paint remover?
Paint remover, just white spirit. It's white
yeah.
spirit, yeah. Usual sort of wheels and brushes which get used a lot. Over there I've got whetstones and that. Tons of old screws, nails, bolts, everything, junk. This end, got my electric saw, had a couple, got this one going again. I use that one. I use a hedge trimmer here. This is quite handy because it's a nice light one.
It's a familiar one, that one. I believe that's mine.
You reckon it is?
Yeah, you've had my hedge trimmer.
I don't remember the blue, I have to say. Yeah, that's my excuse. But listen, you know where it is, don't you? If you want it, you know where it is. Talking of that.
That's my little anvil. I've been looking for that.
That's your anvil as well there, yeah. So many bolts and nails and screws you cannot believe, especially spare blades for that reciprocal. That is the most used thing. I just keep spares of everything. If you pick them up for nothing, why would you want to throw them away? These are quite good. I've obviously got electric chainsaw. I've got a battery one here that I use. It's quite familiar to Mike.
That's mine as well, yeah.
That's his. A bit of a leak on the bottom, so I put the towel there. This very handy tool.
That's also mine.
I don't know how to say this. I've really been caught red-handed, haven't I?
Yeah, these are my tools.
I know what it was. He looked in here and he saw it.
Oh, God.
That's sad, isn't it? Bench grinder, yeah, it gets used a hell of a lot. The ironmonger was going down the tubes and selling out, so I bought this. I wish I bought 10 times that amount because I've got all the nails known to man. I keep everything, kitchen fittings, door handles, I keep everything. Bits and pieces that go in kitchen units. You try losing one and you want one, you've got it.
And these are, just so people know, Dad, up here on the wall, these are all marlin bills.
Yeah,
these are the bills of real marlin, which to those who don't know fishing, it's the fish with the spiky nose, the big spike on their nose. This is their bills.
They're all sort of falling in bits
But like
now.
Dad says, a lot of big people, they eat the whole fish and then this is what remains.
Yeah.
And back then,
they just threw it away.
You can see by some of the years, February 83, 85, they just did this back then.
When were you born?
I was 90, so.
Oh, I see, so fishing.
1980, this is what they did. I mean, look at the tail.
The first marlin I caught there, 1980.
Look at that. Striped
A long time ago, yeah, with another guy.
£107.
Yeah, that was clear. So I won 170, I won 100, but I've had loads more since then.
Yeah.
250 odd. Screw box, it's dead handy, gets used most. All the different types of screws, I try and pack them all up in there. If you get pill boxes, they can be quite handy, with a screw top, because they keep everything dry. So if you do get pill boxes with a screw cap, as you can see, they're dead handy. I just keep them all in there. I know what sizes are. I do the same here.
I remember these as a kid, Dad. You've had these years. These they are horrible to carry.
They're huge.
Your fingers get pinched in them all the time.
But dead handy because I've got all the stuff I want in there. And I even keep just a bean can, washed out bean can. So if we go up doing work in the forest, the cabin, we've got a bag of tin. I got the tin. I don't have to take the whole thing. I just know that they're general size. And wait for that. They've all come out of pallets. They've been straightened, second-hand nails. It don't get no better than that. Tool-wise, I haven't got a great deal. Just the basics down here. Probably the most used one I do is angle grinder. Big planes and stuff like that. But you use them all. Look, they're not high-end. They're cheap as I can get, cheap as chips. Some are second-hand that people are giving me.
Well, people don't realise it as well. You owned a furniture shop. You ran a furniture shop for how long? 40, 30 years?
38 years. I was 6 days a week for 38 years.
From what age?
Other than fishing trips.
And what age did you start that shop?
I started out at school. When I left school, I wasn't the brightest tool in the box, and that's the truth. And my grandfather said, get that boy out and get him bloody working. And I was supposed to be in my mind, career as teacher, I'll be a draftsman. A draftsman? I can't even draw a straight line. That's what was in my head. That's what the careers man said. You could be a draftsman, Graham. What a joke that would have been. So I just went into manual labour, and that's what I did. Furniture for 38 years, worked hard and did okay. Spare tools in there, spares everything. There's a mitre saw there. I think you wanted one of those.
I need something like that.
Yeah, it's a mitre saw that, just so people know, I won't put it all together so you don't have time. It just goes on and saws at an angle. It's dead handy if you're doing scotia, which is the edge of the flooring. Stuff like that. It just goes on these two pillars like this.
Oh, I see, yeah.
so it can cut 90
you
degrees.
set the angle, yeah.
And then you set the angle, so on 45 degrees, 2 blocks. Say, skirting board on the floor.
Yeah.
Architrave around doorways. So I give you an idea of all the junk and rubbish I've got in here, all of which gets used. So I won't throw anything away, but I should. You know what it is? I should have a clear out. And it would be lovely to have all brand new stuff, wouldn't it? But do you know what? It still wouldn't do the job for me because I like reusing stuff, and that's what it's all about. Not a particularly save the planet thing, it's just the way I was brought up. I suppose after the Second World War, my parents instilled it into me. Don't waste a thing. Trust me, I don't. Guys, hope you've enjoyed the workshop. I don't know about my son.
Yeah.
He's seen most of his tools in there.
I know, yeah. It's something different. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, Dad's got a YouTube channel as well, TA Fishing, where he does stuff in this workshop and in the garage as well. Loads of stuff. So head on over to that. I'll put a link in the description below.
And a new random section is starting to go up literally tomorrow night. Got some really different stuff in there.
He's got some really interesting stuff on there. So head on over. I'll put a link in the description. But thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this little tour. And we will see you guys in the next episode.